Here we have an example solving a system of equations using substitution. Whenever we do this, we have to make sure we have a variable by itself. It does not matter which variable, and it does not matter which equation. What matters is whatever's easier. Lucky for us, if you look at this first equation right here, we already have the x by itself. X equals a 3y minus 1. So what that means is we can go ahead and take that 3y minus 1 and plug it into the x in the other equation. The reason why that works is because if x equals 3y minus 1, then 3y minus 1 must also equal x. So if that works by the laws of substitution, then you can just go ahead and replace it. So whenever we replace it, here is how I like to do it. This is how I do it in class on the smartboard. I'm going to rewrite this equation right here, but instead of plugging in x, I'm going to go ahead and write a set of parentheses. So listen very carefully. Here is 2x, notice how instead of x I'm putting parentheses, minus 5y equals 4. So since x equals 3y minus 1, we see that right here in the top equation, x equals 3y minus 1. Instead of writing x in this portion, I'm going to go ahead and write 3y minus 1. And the reason why I can do that is because they are equal. So that, in my opinion, is one of the toughest parts about these problems, making sure you plug everything in correctly. One of the most common questions I am asked is, how come this x goes away when you plug it in? Well, the definition of this term or this method is substitution. So we are replacing x. We are substituting x with this value because x equals this value right here. So the example I've used before is, if I'm absent from class, I hire a substitute. There would be no purpose in me getting a substitute teacher if I'm still there. So what that means is, if I am x, the substitute is going to replace me. I'm not going to be here. I'm not going to be anywhere in this area. I'm gone. I'm completely replaced by the substitute teacher. So that's my little reference. I hope it's a nice way for you guys to remember. But from this point on, it gets a little bit easier. We have only one variable now, y and y. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and distribute this 2 in order to solve the equation, get y by itself. So that gets us 6y minus 2 just by go ahead and distributing here, doing that. Then I'm going to continue writing out the rest of the equation. So that's going to be minus 5y, that's a y, equals 4. From here on out, we're going to combine like terms. On the left-hand side of the equal sign, that's right here, I have a 6y and a minus 5y. I can combine those together. 6y minus 5y just gets me a y, or 1y, however you like to write that. That minus 2 is still there, equals 4. I'm going to get the y by itself by adding 2 to both sides. And then y equals, that's an equal sign, 6. So now my y equals 6. I don't have much room on here. I'm still pretty new at using this, so bear with me. I do appreciate you following along for this long. I'm going to go ahead now. We have to get an x value and a y value because don't forget, when we're solving a system of equations, we are looking for the intersection of these 2 points. So here's my y value. I got to find the x value. So I'm going to go ahead and plug my y value into the first equation just because I think it would be easier. Remember, it doesn't matter. You can plug it into either equation. So I'm going to go ahead and plug it in. So x equals 3y, because 6 is my y. Remember, they are the same thing, minus 1. 3 times 6 is 9. Minus 1, so x equals 8. So my final answer, when I put it in a set of coordinate points, it's going to be 8, 6. That is the final answer. And we have seen before, we've talked about briefly, if you want to go ahead and double check your answer, make sure it's correct on the test. You have the point 86, this is your x, this is your y. You can go ahead and plug it into the x's and y's of your original equation. If they end up equal, then it's correct. If it is not, then it means you did something wrong. All right, I hope I have answered any questions or cleared up any confusion about substitution. If not, go ahead and reply to this post.